It's a hard movie to watch, but that's why it's called Hard Truths. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Hard Truths, the newest film from director Mike Leigh. Okay, guys, so here's a movie that I saw a long time ago. It's a movie that I never got a chance to put a review out for it, but with it coming out now, I figured it was a good time to put a review out for it. Hard Truths is a film that stars Marianne Jean-Baptiste. She plays Pansy, and she's a very difficult woman to deal with in this movie. She is a woman who is very depressed. She's very angry. She lashes out at everyone, including her husband, who is very much a simpleton, and then her son, who just doesn't really react to anything. And then she has a sister who's played by Michele Austin, who plays Chantel, who in essence is a much more upbeat woman. She's a hairdresser. She is very much liked. Pansy is not liked. Chantel is liked. And basically this story is about an unpleasant woman who is dealing with a lot, is dealing with the death of a family member, who's dealing with a lot of her history in her past, and has become so unpleasant that she is having difficulty in deal with everyday life and lashes out everyone in the process. So it's basically a movie about her trying to come to grips with a death in the family, trying to come to grips with, her family life, being very unhappy and all that good stuff. So it's very much in a Mike Leigh formula, who once again is cast Marianne Jean-Baptiste in a movie that she is in. So with that said, Hard Truths is a movie that has garnered a lot of praise for Marianne Jean-Baptiste's performance. It's a movie that, honestly, I didn't know much about. I don't watch a lot of Mike Leigh films like Secret and Lies and stuff like that. So it's just not something that was on my radar ever. And then, I kept hearing how good she was in it. And I kept hearing how much of a challenge it is to watch in some points and how difficult her performance is. So, I gave it a shot. And I watched it like a couple months ago. And here I am finally reviewing it. And this movie is a really difficult watch. It's going to be a movie that is going to upset a lot of people. It's a movie that is very unsettling and very unapologetic for the performance that Marianne Jean-Baptiste is giving. But it's one of the best performances I've seen in a long time, to be fairly honest. It's my favorite performance of 2024. It's a performance that you can tell that Jean-Baptiste is really committed to, something that she knows is going to be a very difficult performance to stomach because of how unlikable she can become. But as she moves along in this movie, and as the wounds of her past and the wounds of her family life come into open, the more and more her character really kind of opens up and becomes more dimensional. And by the end of this movie, it's such a remarkable performance. It's a very unlikable performance, but it's a very remarkable performance that it is one of the best performances I've seen this year in quite a while. She is just really good in this movie. She is very polar opposite of her sister, Chantel, in this movie, who's also really good. It's really interesting to see how her husband doesn't really react to her negativity. It just seems like he just doesn't care, or he just is going through life in kind of a robotic fashion. And then her son, who is like overweight and doesn't really do anything and listens to music, doesn't work, doesn't go to school, or probably goes to school or whatever, but it just doesn't seem like a very outgoing person. And having to deal with all of that, how unlikable and uncomfortable her character is, it's just a very interesting movie, to be fairly honest. It's a movie that really takes a lot of what I would call patience for a movie and a performance, and she does a really remarkable job. It's a really interesting movie to watch. It's definitely up Mike Leigh's kind of alley when it comes to character studies and stuff like that. But it's a movie that, if you take the time to settle down and watch it, I think you'll be kind of awestruck with how good Marianne Jean-Baptiste's performance is. And I really love the nature of like where it goes and how it kind of settles down, and how everybody seems to be on her side, even though she's not on everybody's side. And I really just think it's a remarkable movie. I think it's one of the best movies I saw in 2024. I think it's a movie that does a lot, says a lot, has a lot of dimension to it. It leaves you with a emotion at the end of it, which is what movies should do. And it's just one of the best movies I saw last year. It wasn't in my top 15 or anything like that, but it was one of those movies that, if I were to do top 20, it would definitely be my top 20. But it's a movie that I highly recommend. It's a movie that is going to be very difficult to watch. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It might not make people want to see the movie or might leave the theater because of how difficult her performance is. But I hope she gets an Oscar nomination for this movie. I hope she gets some critical acclaim for what she does in this movie. And I think if people see the performance, they'll see how good she really is. But once again, very difficult to watch, very uncomfortable. She's very unlikable through most of the movie. But when she gets to that funeral scene, you see the performance really blossom into something truly magical. So, but anyways, with that said, that is going to be my take on Hard Truths. It's a very well directed, very well acted movie. A lot of great performances that leaves open kind of like, do we really learn anything in the end? That's kind of how this movie leads. So there you go. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching my review of Hard Truths. I really appreciate it. Comments below. Have you seen this movie? What do you think overall? Are you agreeing with how good her performance is? If you didn't like this movie, if you didn't like how she portrays the character, it's perfectly all right. It's a very difficult movie to watch, but I highly recommend it if you want to see great performances. But let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this video, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. As always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.